This is Our News, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, 2 high school students tragically killed on Grand Bahama. Ahead tonight, the details on how the traffic accident ended in a fatal electrocution. Plus, the prominent attorney for 3 web shops speaks out on what he's calling government unfair treatment of the industry. And later on, kids from the Seabreeze community get treated to a back-to-school jamboree.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping the news, as Jack Haywood seniors prepare to return to the classrooms tomorrow for their final year, 2 of their classmates won't be among them after they were involved in a tragic accident. According to police on Grand Bahama, they were called to Settlers Way and Frobisher Drive shortly after 4 a.m. Sunday. Now, Our News understands a black Ford Escape vehicle with 6 male passengers crashed into a utility pole. As a result of the crash, the utility pole landed on a fence with down live wires. However, when the occupants came out of the vehicle, 2 of them touched the fence that had a live electrical wire and died at the scene. That's all the information from police at this time. Meantime, Education Minister Jeff Lloyd spoke about the unfortunate incident this afternoon, extending condolences.
I, as minister, and our team are not yet equipped with all of the details surrounding this most unfortunate and tragic accident. However, we can confirm that an accident did occur earlier this morning, and it resulted in the untimely loss of 2 of our members of our family as students in Grand Bahama. Of course, we wish to extend to their families our prayerful support and condolences in a time of despairing grief, and to assure them that those prayers and support continue throughout the rest of this time.
Meantime, we're told officials from the Ministry of Education will be at the school tomorrow to provide support. Well, another setback for the Ministry of Education following a fire at the Rumkey All-Age School yesterday evening. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd said the fire began in the kitchen as a result of an electrical malfunction.
We are further advised that the fire was contained to the kitchen area, which spared the rest of the building from being further damaged. According to Mr. Jolton Johnson, who is administrator for St. Salvador and Rumkey, the school, while potentially operable, may not be suitable for occupation by the students there come Thursday, when school is slated to open.
Minister Lloyd says accommodations are now being finalized for the students at the St. Christopher Anglican Church and at the BTC building.
I do believe that in a situation of this kind, that an official investigation will be commenced by, I believe, the fire department. I am advised by the Honorable Desmond Bannister, Minister of Works, that a charter is being arranged for our own government investigation, and I'm sure that a member of the fire brigade will also be accompanying us along with the police to conduct their own investigation, provide a report to the Bahamian people. When that report is available, you will know.
Meantime, police making a significant drug bust on the waters early this morning, confiscating more than $250,000 worth of suspected marijuana. 4 men have been arrested in connection with this discovery. Acting on information, it was shortly before 1 this morning when drug enforcement and marine support officers intercepted a white 20-foot Boston whaler boat with 4 Bahamian men on board in waters 1 mile south of Coral Harbor. Now, when officers conducted a search of the vessel, they uncovered 12 crocus bags with suspected marijuana. The total weight on the drugs was 390 pounds for an estimated street value of $390,000. Those men were taken into custody and expected to be formally charged later this week. In other news this evening, the lawyer for 3 of the web shops seeking to have the government's proposed sliding scale tax and patron tax for the industry done away with is speaking out. Wayne Monroe told Our News that the government appears to be on a clear mission to cripple any further growth of the web shop industry. He called it meddling and unjust. He spoke with our Kyle Joaquin.
No, but that is meddling with it. It's just saying that instead of trying to cut out gambling for everyone, if you have a problem, we address your problem. Some people drink too much liquor.
And that's why Monroe calls it unfair that government is still in pursuit of heavily taxing the web shop industry. Just this past Friday, the government agreed to not impose the 5% stamp tax on gaming patrons and has also agreed not to enforce the sliding scale tax, which was implemented July 1st. It came after attorneys for 4 major web shop operators filed an application in the Supreme Court seeking leave for judicial review on government's tax proposals for the industry. On Thursday, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar said it behooves government to use taxation to slow down the growth of the industry, but it needed to happen to protect Bahamians. Monroe called that a sad admission.
You don't see anybody talking about stifling liquor, eh? So at the end of the day, what it boils down to is that is an admission that you're trying to affect an industry in an impermissible way. Right. At the end of the day, if people have problem gambling, the act and the regulation has a mechanism by which those people can be prevented from gambling.
Monroe represents Percy's Island Game, Ashore Wind, and Paradise Games. Now, the decision to hold off on increased taxes for now was not a court order, but according to Attorney General Carl Bethel, was something extended as a courtesy to the court and web shop operators until they return to court in October.
I'm somebody who says that God never outlawed any behavior. He just tells you don't do it. He could have kept the tree of good and evil out of the Garden of Eden, and man could not sin. He left it there, and he asked you to choose not to sin. So I'm not a big fan of saying making behavior beyond the reach of person. I'm a big fan in what's supposed to be evangelism, telling people not to do it, to act responsibly. And today, too many people, including some sectors of the church, instead of doing their jobs and persuading people to do what is right, try to do it by giving them no choice but to do what is right.
Attorneys for the web shops and the government have the opportunity to enter into further discussions before they head back to court October 5th. For Our News Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
All right, thanks a lot, Kyle. A top cabinet minister is weighing in on the recent revelation that the majority of people who have applied for the government's low-cost lots initiative did not qualify. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says he is shocked at the numbers. Our Jasmine Brown reports.
I really was shocked.
The Department of Housing officially launched its Serviced Lots initiative in mid-July during a ceremony at the Sunset Close subdivision off Carmichael Road. It was at that time that Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that 10 of the lots at Sunset Close would sell for under $30,000.
The government is giving you land for a steal. And for those that the government is attempting to assist, you got to have some skin in the game. We're not going to give it to you. And we're giving you this property for a steal. Not a deal, a steal.
On Tuesday, Environment and Housing Minister Romuald Ferreira told reporters that only 9 of the 60 people who applied for the low-cost lots qualified. Ferreira insisted predatory lending played a major role in ruining the finances of many residents. Following his statements, PLP Housing Shadow Minister Picewell Forbes issued a statement insisting the FNM has this unfortunate way of glorifying the misfortunes of citizens. Forbes said the minister should have instead been boasting about how they are working with each applicant to ensure that they do qualify. He went on to say that in his budget statement, he warned the government that their program was flawed. But de Aguilar says it's not the government's fault.
I think what we did was we started off targeting a group that we wanted to assist. I think sort of the uniform branches. But the amount of people who have been blowing up my phone, trying to get a piece of this property, has been incredible. But even the 15%, I'm sure, is more than enough to take these lots. It's not like there's unlimited amount of lots. So I'm sure we'll have no problem selling them. It's just that 85% of those that have been applying are not qualifying. So maybe it's a time for them to step back and say, why am I not qualifying? And generally, to buy a home, you need 2 incomes. And a lot of people are not in double income homes. So, make up with that boyfriend and girlfriend. Get married. Because that's how you can get a home.
Like the housing minister, D'Aguilar says Bahamians need to be more fiscally responsible.
I mean, you think of your fathers and your grandparents, how they could afford homes. And they lived a much simpler and harder life. But we're a different generation. We need a cell phone, an Apple phone. We need air conditioning all the time. We can't take the heat. So we're used to our creature comforts. We're the now generation. We want to enjoy it now. We don't want to wait 20 years to pay off the mortgage. And we are. One could argue that our people have lost their way in how you grow wealth in this country. You have to work hard, focus on on your home, which is going to be your largest single asset, and focus on paying it off.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Bahama's Contractors Association President Leonard Sand says while the government's housing program has not been very successful with the uniform branches, it may be successful with others who are prepared to take advantage of the lowered rates.
I don't think that the program is bad. I just think that the first opportunity that was given was probably given to a group of people who were not the most ready. I think opening it up to the wider community, there definitely have to be way more people who in the private community, who work for all the other institutions out there, who would know how to not be challenged with their finances, could take advantage of that. So from our position, we still think it's an excellent program. Any reduction you have in purchasing property is an opportunity that's a benefit.
Sands added that while the program is a good idea, the government should also try to partner with banks to sell distressed homes, and that too can boost the construction industry.
But we believe that if they did something like that, construction could be jump-started as well. Because if you're going to put a young family in a home, you have to then clean the house out, maybe fix a window pane, maybe repaint and make the space ready for habitation again, because many of these homes have been that way for about 3 to 4 years now. So there's some minimal work that has to happen. But again, we feel that given the challenge that the government is having with the new home construction program in the market right now, and the challenges, I think it may be easier to occupy homes that were already built, were already lived in and maintained, and find new families to inhabit those homes.
The BCA president said they would be happy to provide advice to persons looking to build on those service lots.
We have our relationship with our Architects Society, Engineer Society, and we could probably give you more free advice than you could probably pay for out there. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that every customer that wants to go and build a home is doing so to their benefit, and they don't fall into the pitfalls and shortcomings by not having the information to make the right decision.
A former member of parliament from Grand Bahama is voicing concerns about the future of the island and says he's disappointed that the MPs aren't standing up for those they represent. Our Giorgio Bain tells us more.
With all the members of Parliament for Grand Bahama being sitting members of the Free National Movement, former Minister of Tourism and former MP for West End and Bimini, Opie Wilchcombe, said by now he expected a little more. According to Wilchcombe, given all of the promises made to Grand Bahamians by the current administration on the campaign trail, he is disappointed that there doesn't seem to be more of a fight on behalf of those residents by their MPs. Wilchcombe recommends that the MPs come to the table with those who can give them some timely advice on how to turn around the economy of Grand Bahama.
I'm disappointed in the lack of maturity, that we believe that once we're elected we have all the answers, and we don't. I think the reality is there are people who have answers, and not the politicians say, but other individuals who might not be employed now because they were quote-unquote supporters of the PLP. That's ridiculous. I think we're making a mistake by not sitting down, talking with individuals who can help you.
Wilchcombe questioned why people such as Sir Bolton Bethel and Vincent Vanderpool Wallace are not being utilized to further the tourism industry in Grand Bahama. He also asked what steps are being put in place to push Grand Bahama as a technology hub.
Then you're going to talk about technology. Where are the voices like a C. Allen Johnson and others to talk about real technology? Look at what's needed in the region. Look at what we should be introducing to the region. Look at how we can cause for a real call center that We can sit down with the hotel industry and discuss with them moving their call centers from wherever they are in the United States and bring them to Grand Bahama. Set up a plan that will create new jobs, take a look at technology, appreciate that there's some things that are missing in the Caribbean that we can set up.
Wilcombe said the island is also suffering from brain drain, as hundreds of Grand Bahamians are leaving the island searching for jobs and other opportunities. According to Wilcombe, there is so much more that can be done.
Why can't we be sitting and talking with the Port Authority, Hutchinson Whampoa now, about some land that could be used for the Bahamian professional who can purchase and build within 2 years? Why can't we do that as their second home or their investment in the Bahamas? We have to be a little bit more creative, and we're not being. We have to understand what Grand Bahama has to offer. It has infrastructure in place for 500 million people. It's ready to go now. What should it be doing? And what do we want it to be? Let Nassau be Nassau. Let this island be what it is. Think about what Grand Bahama ought to be.
Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Giorgio Bain.
All right, thanks a lot, Giorgio. And we will take our first break here. But still ahead tonight, the head of the Bahamas National Trust suggests an environmentally friendly alternative to a cruise port at Lighthouse Point. And we'll tell you about a workshop which seeks to assist tourism-based entrepreneurs. Those stories and more coming up when Our News returns.